Hello, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to your practice today. Today we're going to be focusing on a yin yoga practice to help relieve the intensity of menstrual cramps. As someone who has suffered from very painful periods in my life, I understand that intensity, any kind of relief you can get is super helpful. So in this practice, you may not find complete relief, but hopefully you will find a little bit more comfort, a little bit less intensity to a painful period. So we'll be working with several meridians, the liver, the kidney meridian, and also the spleen meridians on the inner leg space. These are often related to hormone and balancing hormones, which can attribute to part of a painful period. And we'll also be working with that downward energy, so helping move things down and out as they are naturally already flowing and helping that process so that you don't need to quite have the intensity of the cramps to achieve the same purpose. For this practice, you can gather anything that you want, but for it, we will be using blocks. If you don't have 2 blocks, 1 block will work. I like to have 2 because it feels a little bit more stable for one of our poses, but 1 will work just as well. And if you like, we're going to start in butterfly pose, and you can use that block to sit on the very edge of it. Now you can also sit just on the floor. We're going to bring the bottoms of the feet together, and we're going to take them out a little bit further. So if you don't like the height here, you can always take that block off to the side. Taking our feet out a little bit away so they start to just naturally part a little bit. Now, when we work with relieving cramps, there's some promising research out there that shows that the spleen 6 and 8, which are right in this section on the inner leg, about 5 inches and down on the inner calf muscle area, can be helpful in relieving intensity. So we're going to work with that here as well. So taking your fingers down about 5 inches or so and find kind of a sore spot, and you'll find it pretty quickly on that inner leg, on the calf. And maybe just starting to rub up and down that space for about 4 inches or so. And you can start to lean over at the same time. You'll find that entire space may be a little bit achy, a little bit sore. And just finding that you can even make little circles in that space. Moving down. You may find it's quite tender in these spaces. And then go ahead and rest your hands down on your feet. We're going to take our thumbs to the inner feet and maybe do a little massage right at the bottom of the foot at the base of the big toe mound. So there's a little mound right below the big toe, right in that space in the middle of the foot and over to the base of the big toe mound. We're going to give a little massage. This might help stimulate our liver and kidney meridians. All of our meridians on the lower body begin or end in the feet. And then softening and just allowing. So if you get all the way down to the floor or not, you can use the blocks to prop up your head, or you can just hang out here, whatever position you're in. Taking some nice deep breaths. It can often be hard to breathe really fully when you're in pain and uncomfortable. So here, focusing as much as you can on breathing into the back body, expanding out to the sides, into the lower back, the kidneys, into the belly space, giving a little massage to the belly, to the lower pelvic organs. Over time, you find that gravity pulls you a little bit further, and that feels okay for you. You can always go deeper, but you don't have to. Just a few more breaths here. See if you can breathe a little more deeply, expanding out to the side body and then exhaling through your mouth. Gently walking your hands in and starting to press up. Maybe leaning back a little bit and waving your butterfly wings. It may feel good to take your feet flat and just shift those knees side to side, maybe coming all the way down to the floor. Move super slow. There's no rush here. For our next pose, we're going to come into squat pose and we're going to use those blocks for a little support. So you can sit on them at the highest height or the next highest height, depending on your squat. Coming up, bringing your heels down, toes out. I like the 2 blocks because it gives me a little bit more stability. If you have more space, you can drop them down a little bit lower or stack them on top of one another flat. Taking your elbows to the inner knee point. Settling into your breath. Maybe your squat, you only need 1 block, really flat. Find wherever you need to be. Let the weight of your body drift down. Maybe you come upright a little bit more because you have that stability of the blocks. Checking with your breath, taking some nice deep inhales and exhales. Might feel good to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth a couple of times. This helps move you into the parasympathetic nervous system, a little bit more relaxed state. Just 2 more deep breaths. And gently starting to come out. Here you can lean forward a little bit, take those blocks out from underneath, move them off to the side. One hand behind, one hand in front maybe, coming all the way down, leaning back on your fingertips, legs out straight. Lift the chest, drop the head back. Then coming all the way down onto your back. Gently bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a little squeeze. Bend your left leg. Wrap that right over your left. Shift your hips a little bit over to the right and drop your knees over to the left. Maybe you take your right arm up overhead, off to the side, or out straight. Notice as your body begins to loosen up a little bit through the back and the hips. Maybe you soften a little bit more deeply into gravity. Just a few more breaths. Starting to turn your head back to center, bring your knees back through the middle. This time taking your right leg out straight, hugging your left knee into your chest for a nice stretch. And then bending your right knee, taking left over right, shifting your hips over to the left, dropping your knees this time over to the right. Maybe your left arm goes out overhead a little bit or out to the side. Gently turn your head back to center, bring your knees back through the middle. Maybe hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little lower back massage. Gently roll over to your right side. Take a couple of breaths here on your right side. And very gently make your way up. Maybe using one of those blocks underneath your hips. Taking your knees on either side. Bring your hands together at heart center. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me. I hope it helps relieve some of the intensity of menstrual cramps or gives you a little bit of relief, also helping you in the first few days of your cycle to feel a bit more comfortable. Thanks for joining us.